just about to say, you break down when you're in a writing session. Where are you pulling your creativity from, lyrically and story-wise?
I listen to women talk. If you just like, I'll just listen to women talk. A woman is gonna say something so fly, somewhere in her. I'm kind of like, it's my gift, and I'm thankful to God for it. But I can't have normal conversations with people. Like, I'll be talking to you, and you'll be responding, and you'll say something, and I'm just like,
that's a song.
oh, shit, did you just say that? And then the wheels start turning in my head like, oh, house. That's where my inspiration comes from.
At what point, I find with songwriting, there's times where you'll start writing a song and you like it, and your friends are vibing to it, whatever, and then there are certain songs where maybe not everyone's understanding it. So at what point do you know when to give up on a song? You
have to explain it.
If you have to explain it.
Like if I'm writing a record,
right,
and you say to me, what's that about? You have to explain the record. And then,
like, when do you know to give up on, just if someone asks you to explain it? Like,
well, you know what, I can't say never give up on something you believe in. Use yourself as your gauge. Like if you feel it, somebody else is gonna feel it. You just gotta learn how to craft that into a million people feeling it. And usually what that is go out, go to clubs, and they used to play slow records in clubs, they don't do that no more. Go out and just listen, and then listen to watch kids, watch the records that kids pick up on. It's the, I don't say dumbest, it's the most, it's the simplicity of it. But then, on the other hand, you'll have a record like Pretty Wings that'll come out, and then it's like, it's so complex, but it's so good that good is good. Use yourself as your gauge. Like, that's why you gotta surround yourself. Don't surround yourself with the people that are so impressed by you. Surround yourself with people that are like, that's good, but that's it. But trust yourself.
I want to say, in terms of when you're writing stuff that you have to explain, more so sometimes people write abstract, talk about the birds and the bees and the trees and the clouds turning blue and stuff like that. And you turn around and say, huh? What are you trying to say? And that's like, if you have to explain what you're trying to say, then the song is not getting a point, not coming across properly. And sometimes I just say, dumb it down. When you're writing a song like that and you're getting very poetic and very Diane Warren-ish, and you're talking about the birds and the bees. Did you say that?
I would like to say that the thoughts of Derek Brin do not
Diane Warren. I used to work with her. I love Diane Warren. I mean, just the metaphors of the water. She always uses mountains, higher than the mountains, lower than the oceans. And when you overdo the metaphors, you get Diane Warren, but not write a Diane Warren song. Some people just don't get it unless you get dumb and dumb it down and make it so simple that, like, this man can tell a story in a song. It's just like, you just never have to wonder what he's talking about. 3 lines into the song, you've got the establishing situation, and you're and you're just waiting for the story to finish itself. But when you talk too much birds and bees, it's just like, huh? But there was one in the back.
What kind of advice would you give to young artists in Canada that are trying to cross-market to the States?
I don't really, like, just from what I hear Derek talk about, and just, the thing I've been noticing is that a lot of artists are coming from here. I think it's you guys, we were talking about this on the way over. There's something about the lack of exposure or the lack of opportunities that breeds a pool of talent that's real. And Canada is turning out a lot of solid artists. Justin Bieber is for what he is, you can't deny that. That's, he's not selling the records and selling out the tours that he's selling for no reason. He's a solid artist. Melanie Fiona, one of my favorite singers in the business, Glenn Lewis, Deborah Cox, a lot of artists come from here, but I think you guys are kind of trapped in that thing that happens to a lot of different places. The industry just isn't here. Like when me and Derek first hooked up. I was living in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. I would call Derek on Friday, like, we starting this Jaheim session. He'd be like, okay, I'll be there tomorrow. Middle of a blizzard, he would drive up. You gotta be willing to, travel. You gotta be willing to go, you know, and then you have to also, the internet is explosive. Like you can literally use, if you become computer savvy, you can use the internet to put yourself wherever you need to be, put your music where you need to be.
What about in safeguarding yourself though, like with copyright laws and things like that? Like when you're marketing to somebody else, what kind of advice would you give to a young artist to not have them get taken advantage of, to not have their stuff get ripped off by somebody else, especially if you're collaborating and you're working with the internet and things like that? How do you know that you're putting it out there and it's not going to be taken on the other end by somebody or the wrong person?
If somebody's going to steal something from you, they're going to steal it. Like I've had a concept taken from me and had it turned into a hit record by somebody else. You can't be so afraid of that you don't do what you do. Like the correct thing to say to you would be start out, join S.A.C, that's who I'm with, S.A.C, BMI, ASCAP, join one of those. Do the due diligence with your records before you send them out. But sometimes, you know, it just doesn't work like that. People, you can't be afraid of that, is what I'm trying to say. Don't make yourself gullible and just throw your stuff out there. Copyright your records. All you really have to do is join one of those companies, send your music in, catalog it, and then feel free to start sending it out. But that's not going to stop somebody from stealing an idea from you. So you have to be willing to take some losses to get to where you're trying to get to.
What are some of the best ways that you recommend of pitching some of your songs when you're not a part of a writing team or you're not well established? Getting the right ears to actually hear your music.
I think coming from here, I think the thing you would have to start with is you have to reach out, you have to align yourself to the closest people that are doing what you're doing, like, you know, guys like Derek, the people that you know that you have access to. You know, no matter how discouraging or how many steps it seems like, okay, if I get to Derek and Derek has to get to such and such and he has to get to such and such, don't, you know, if this is what you're really truly trying to do, you gotta know that you just gotta take those steps. So start with the people closest to you. They know people. You know, the record I did for Justin Bieber I didn't do the record for Justin Bieber. It was done for my artist on Sony right as he was getting dropped. And the record, you know, it wasn't written as a Justin Bieber record. It just it made its way. And then by the time it got to Chris Hicks, he called me like, I love this record, you gotta give it to me. I was like, for who? You know, you start the politics, but you know, the record started here and ended up there. So it's like, you know, that's just part of this game. But you know, don't waste your time either. Like, be smart about, don't be afraid to waste your time, but don't waste your time. Like, surround yourself with the people, get it to the people that you know that know people, and then, you know, some record labels actually do listen to demos, most don't. Like, don't look on the back of the record and go send the record in the A&R department.
Some of your bigger songs, did you ever have to work through the writing process? I mean, at what point do you work through a song, or does it just come to you and you know it's coming to you so easily that that's what makes it quick?
He writes too quick.
No, not really. Honestly, I'm trying to think how to honestly answer that. Some of my biggest records, I didn't believe it. I didn't think that was going to be the record. Some of the biggest ones. Then some of them you just know because of, if you get in a room with Timbaland and Britney, chances are you're gonna make a record. It's like, it's no real. I don't wanna come across to you guys like there is no formula to write a hit record.
But I guess what I mean is, if you're struggling, let's say you love your verse, you're struggling with your hook, do you leave that song alone if it doesn't come to you?
No, sometimes I work
from it, or do you actually work through it and then?
When I know it's me and not the track, I fight through it. Because sometimes I have a beat that I love and then I feel like I'm not complimenting the record right. So like I did that last night. I was writing a record for Jaheim, and it was starting out good, but it didn't feel right. I learned to trust I'm my best gauge. I learned to trust myself. And I work through it most times, just work through it.
I have a couple questions about melodies. I guess first would be for yourself, because a lot of singers, you know, even myself when I sing a track, I'm an MC, but I also sing to my capabilities. And I just sometimes I notice like, oh man, this hook sounds like that hook, and like, you know, a lot of times it's just like you can tell, even with the best hook writers, you can tell that's their hook just because of the melody.
Right.
So no matter who sings it, you know it's them.
Right.
How do you break out from that?
How do you? I don't understand the question.
Like how do you I mean, if you find yourself falling into that trap where like everything sounds the same, melodically, how do you distance yourself from that?
That's don't do that. That's what's gonna make people. That's what you want. You want people to know, like, you want people to know. What's your name?
Crossword.
You want people to know that that's a Roswell record. Like you, that's just Babyface sold 1,000 records with the same melody. You know, tell you in a heartbeat, like. Like this is how I melodically relate. The way it's just, you know, if you listen to Drake, you know, not just because of his voice, you can predict what Drake is gonna do. You can predict what Nicki's gonna do. You can predict Wayne's punchlines. You know, that's just his thing. That's what identifies you as a writer. And people, once they, you know, 4 or 5 records in, they know that, and then you become. That's where your consistency comes from.
So your melody's kind of like a secondary voice.
In a way, yeah.
And the other question regarding melodies is that, like, you know, every single genre, every era, even like from like the mid-90s to late 90s to early 2000s, there's like waves of types of hooks that people just gravitate to. And even right now, I just heard that Skylar Grey Girl. I heard her on like a Lupe track, and I heard her on an Eminem track, and I'm like, all right, cool. So that's probably her and a couple other girls are like the style is gonna be hot for this year or what have you. So do you ever feel pressure to like mold to that, adapt to that?
Absolutely.
Or do you always try to do your own thing?
No. If you want to stay on the radio, someone over here asked me that question earlier. You have to know how to adapt, and I struggled with that for a minute because, you know, before I was doing stuff for Christina Aguilera, for Britney, and then that kind of pop shifted. Something happened. I think it was like the Dido Eminem record, like it pop got moved. So then I was writing with a lot of producers, Steve Morales, KG from Naughty, a lot of people that I was working with. We were doing records a certain kind of way, and then something to come out and shift the music. And it takes you a minute to do it, but you gotta shift with it, or you will not be on the radio. So that doesn't mean you bite somebody else's style, but you gotta know how to. You know, I would write in the '90s. I was writing a lot of R&B records that sound like rap records. By the time you get to the hook, it would explode into a big club type hook, but the verses felt like rap records. And
like, sorry, just but like playing off that, like since you can see these kind of like trends happen, do you ever try to predict what's going to be next and like just do that and I don't know, something like that?
I try to, but it never. Nah, it never works. I just write what I feel and go along with you know with the radio.
Who are your top 3 artists that you personally are listening to right now, like new artists?
New artists.
Your top 3 that, you know, you're driving your car that we might not know.
I'm bad at that, really, man. To be honest with you, I listen to a lot of throwback stuff. Like I listen to.
Who are you listening to right now? The top 3 in your car?
Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder, Al Green. Like plus I'm old here, so it's like. And a lot of old hip hop. I love what Young Money's doing. I listen to a lot of that stuff, like melodically, the way they kind of, how quick they are with their punchlines. Like I'm picking up a lot of stuff from them. But I listen to a lot of country music. I listen to ABBA. I listen to ABBA. What's the group? Lady Annabelle.
Annabelle. Yeah.
That they have out right now.
They're great.
Hell yeah.
It's just, I listen to a lot of Carpenters. A lot of Carpenters. Carpenters. Yeah.
Now you're dating yourself.
2 more questions.
What kind of advice would you give to somebody who finds it hard to write on demand? So they're good writers, but like it's not necessarily you could sit down with somebody and like, okay, write a record.